Hi, I'm John Gendron, NJ4Z, and I am the Communications Director and Trustee for the York County Amateur Radio Society. And tonight we're pleased to bring you Lord Callum McCormick, M0MCX, the DX Commander himself. So sit back and enjoy an evening with the DX Commander here at YCARS. On the air, calling CQ 20 meters. Okay, welcome everybody to the York County Amateur Radio Society October monthly presentation meeting. We have a very special guest tonight, Callum McCormick, M0MCX, or I should say Lord Callum McCormick, is gracious enough to join us here from the UK. And he is the owner and inventor of the DX Commander antenna, as well as the DX Commander YouTube channel, which has about 40,000 subscribers. And he does a wonderful job. Most amateur radio operators know who he is, but he is just a wonderful person. He's helped the club immensely. He's an honorary member of our club. So without further ado, I would like to bring the DX Commander to you all.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gendron. The host has spotlighted your video for everyone. That's what it says. And I did that in my best English accent just for you. And I'm one of the guys that really does have the T-shirt. Okay. And I forgot I was an honorary member. So that's fun. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on YouTube, you're just sitting on the side. We're having a little club meet. And I do a club meeting about once every 3 weeks for various clubs around the world. If you're interested in that, send me an email and we can book you in. I'm now booking for sort of February, March time, just to let you know. You know, talking head thing. It's on Zoom. So, a very good day. Now then, one of your members, Skip, K04, I beg your pardon, DGK, asks me how important are radials to a DX Commander. So now, a DX Commander is fundamentally a ground-mounted vertical radiator. So let's just take a monobander where we have a single radial coming off the centre of your coax. And then the radials will effectively solder to the braid. Okay, I mean, you could do that with your apple tree, test it out for 17 meters or something, and it'll work. But how many radials? And do we need the radials? Now, Ian, G0CNN, went on one of his caravanning trips not so long ago, and he forgot to connect his radials. He said he didn't notice much of a difference. But I think he was on a cliff overlooking the sea, so he's not going to see much of a difference. But radials are extremely important, and there is a graph somewhere on the internet, and I'm not going to put it up now, but fundamentally it looks a bit like this. I mean, I'm just sort of half guessing here, but if we've got 4, 8, 12, 16 radials, let's say, the graph looks like a bit higher. That's at 64. But ignoring the scale down the side here, that's 4, that'll be 8, 12, 16 radials. And then the difference between 16 and 32 radials is about 1 dB. Difference, right? You got to remember, you can't just have gain unless it's relative to something. So, and I just want to talk about dBs actually, because the difference between, I mean, that's not zero. It's like that. You're not getting out at this point here with no radials. You're getting out, but the performance, it sounds like somebody snoring. The performance improvement between none, that's just the coax acting as one radial, to 4, is, I don't know, 2 or 3 dB, and then it's 2 dB, and then it's 1 dB, and so on and so forth. Next time you're on the radio, and you've just got a perfectly fine copy, S9, plus 10, whatever, plus 5, just say to the guy, do me a favour, go from 100 watts, and just turn it down to 50. I want to hear the difference. Now, you'll hear the difference more than you'll see it on the meter, but there won't be a lot. And also, you can double bluff people. You can say, I just want to change microphones, or I just want to press this button, and go from 100 to 50. And just say, I don't want to tell you what I've done, but I've just moved something. Is there much difference? Am I louder? And they might actually go, I don't know, there's no difference at all. So if you read the books, you see, they'll tell you that, we need 128 radials, 64 radials, 10,000 radials, whatever else. There's not a lot in it. Once you get up to certainly 16 quarter waves, we're well gone. Now, great bit of research was done by a fellow called Rudy Sevens. And what he did, he looking down, so we're a bumblebee now, looking down on the top of your antenna. And he put 4 quarter wave radials out. He also put out 4, 8, and he did 16. Hold on. It's quite interesting. Some of you might know this story. And that's who developed this little graph here that I was talking about. However, he had an idea. He took the 16 quarter waves, these, and he cut them all in half. So he cut them in half, but then added them back on. So they were now 8th waves, right? And there was a difference, but you needed electronic instruments to spot it. It was like 0.1 dB or something difference. So that's why I got into realising that 16...
Oh, they sent him a shirt.
Who's talking?
YCARS. Lord Callum. M0MCX.
Oh my gosh.
Is that somebody on the phone?
Well, hey Callum, does it
Yeah.
What about like grounding to a fence or your car or anything besides a radial? How does that
Okay, who's talking?
That's Darcy.
That's Darcy, yeah.
Darcy. So I'll just finish this little bit and then we'll do the car.
Yeah.
Okay, so 16 quarter waves is actually 4 wavelengths. Okay, so I just developed this formula that whether you've got quarter waves, 8th waves, well, in my case, I've gone down to 3 meters, which is probably less than 1/16th of a wave on 80 meters. And I just put lots of little ones out, and that's what I use on holiday. But it still is, to get the maximum performance without going completely mad, right? Think of 4 wavelengths. Now, 4 wavelengths. 2 wavelengths does, you're a couple of dBs off that. But it is just the amount of copper on the ground. But it also helps if you've got a really good ground anyway. In other words, you're sitting on a salt marsh or something. So I have used my car as the ground once. And I always felt it could do with just a little bit more copper on the ground as a ground-mounted vertical. Now, someone's going to ask me a question in a minute. So what about raised radials? And I think I did a video about this once. ON4UN and Rudy Sevens. I forget N7. I forget his call sign. But basically, there was a little bit of flawed research done in the 60s or the 70s where somebody said 2 raised radials is as good as 16 quarter wave ground radials. It might be if you can get the height, but we can't get the height. You're into a lot of cost to develop something that will be at least a quarter wave off the ground. And then as soon as it's an elevated radial, now we've got a tuned radial, haven't we? Because it's like a dipole, but some of it's going over there. So for a multi-band antenna, you need to cut all these radials exactly the right size. Long story, but maybe I'll do a concentrated video on that because I'm not fully prepared about my elevated radials. Anything else about radials before we move on? No. Do you have any plans to develop and market a hex beam? No. I tell you what I have. I have a kit in mind for a 2-element delta loop, like a quad, cubical quad, but in a triangle for, let's say, 2017 or something like that, but not a multiband. The thing is, and is it Anthony or Charles? There's a guy in the UK that does a superb hex beam kit.
Yeah.
He's in Wales. In fact, one of my companies does his website. It's not that I don't mind being in competition with him. What's the point in being in competition with him when he knows what he's doing? He's got a bit of a waiting list, and he does a good job. I know I've probably got the market penetrations from a marketing angle to launch things, but I'll stick to the lower bands, if you know what I mean. If I am going to develop something, it will be for like 160 and 80 more than, sort of 20 and up, which is where the hex beam sits in that market. And the other thing about a hex beam, of course, and I've got some hearsay evidence, but it was about 2 years ago I had an email from a guy who did either CQ Worldwide or WPX on a hex beam at about 35 feet. But a few weeks before the next year's contest, it blew down the gale or something, and he bought a DX Commander. Now, sunspots weren't doing anything back then, but he got a higher score on the DX Commander than he did on the hex beam. And I think, again, it will depend on his ground. I'm not knocking bloody hex beams by any stretch of the imagination. But if you think about it, and I've got a 38-minute presentation I recently did where I covered height above ground. So for the 20-meter band, really, you need to be a third of a wavelength or more to get some real gain on a directional beam. Worth it. It's good fun having a bit of front to back and everything, but if you want gain, you're 30 feet, you're 10 meters. You're just breaking the barrier and no more. Ideally, you want to be on about, thinking about it, 15 meters high, 3/4 of a wavelength. That would give you.
Yeah, we agree with you. We had a 40-meter beam that failed at our clubhouse, and it was only up about 40 feet, and there was a big push to rebuild it and put it back up. And a number of us said, it's a 40-meter beam, 40 feet in the air. No. Let's replace it with something else.
Yeah. Because the other really cool thing you can do for gain, and I've got this in my back pocket in a couple of weeks' time, is a 3-element parasitic array. If you want, like the US, there's like 50 countries in Europe. If you're doing, you just want WPX or you want some country numbers, you can just fix either a 2-element. In other words, you build your DX Commander for 40 meters, for about 7 meters behind it. You just put something a little bit longer. I'm talking electrically, 3-4 inches longer. Just sit it behind. And now all of a sudden you've got about, Rowley reckons he's getting about 6 dB with that. Now that's 6 dB's worthwhile writing home about. That's like you transmit from 50 to 200 watts. And your ears as well.
Yeah, we got experience with that, Callum. We built that triangular array that you did the thing on.
Oh, it was you guys.
Yeah, we built it. We built one for 40 and one for 20. I built the switching network for it. But man, we put that 40 on the air the first time in 2019, right after you did the video for it. And we turned that monster loose, and we were working pileups all over the bloody world.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So it was you guys. Someone had built it. Someone else had built it as well.
Yep.
Yeah, we were loud.
Yeah. Because that gives you about 6, and it gives you some front to back that as well, doesn't
Absolutely. Yeah. We did 2 fed and phased and 1 grounded. And
Yeah.
then I put this year, I did the switch box and I did a 71 degree phased delay line in. So I had 2 in phase and 1 at 71 degrees, and we were getting about 9 dB out of that.
Really? Is that even better, is it?
Yep. Yeah, it's a little bit better. And the front to back was much better. It went from like 7 or 8 dB of front to back to almost 12 front to back, according to MMA.
I need to talk to you. You can build me the box.
I will.
I haven't got time to build a bloody box.
Hell, I'll send you one. I'll send you one.
So it's 3. How many cables do you need? 4.
What's that?
You need 12 volts times 3 and a ground, do you, for your control wires?
Yeah. So you run a 4 position cable and you put 12 volts on 3 of the cables and 1 ground, and you just swap them out. I used 18. You can get away with 22.4. I used 18.4, and it was a little bit overkill. But I'll build you a box. No problem. I got parts here.
Use Cat 5?
Yeah, you could use Cat 5. I don't know if it's. Yeah, it would be fine using
I
Cat
just
5.
happen to have a spare 4-way cable going into the field. That'd be ideal.
John, do you have the coverage map that we had?
Yeah, I'll send it to Callum.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
cool.
yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Darcy. I'm on to question number 3, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Just looking at the live chat, there's a few nice people here. A very good evening. If you're watching on YouTube, we're just having a little private club night here. It would appear that you found a successful formula for success, combining social media and tapping into a previously underserved market for your products. What product or aspect of the DX Commander business has surprised you the most, and why? The support tickets. I'm on version 3 of the manual at the moment, and I've tried to dumb it down, to be honest, because originally it had all the hows and white and why I've done it this way. People don't want to know that now. So I managed to trim it down to, I think, 4 pages, but even then, people don't want to. I think they do read it in the end because they go, "Hey, I better read the blooming manual," you know. But today, or was it yesterday? For instance, there is absolutely no reason I supply in the kit, if you didn't know, shock cord and some little plastic carabiners. And you create a fold over on the element, clip it onto the carabiner, and it supplies a little bit of give and allows you to tension the element to keep them straight going up the pole. But this guy was complaining that he couldn't get the glue-lined heat shrink to stick to the shock cord. But there is absolutely no reason why you'd want to do that. It's a bit like saying, you know, I put petrol in my windscreen wiper fluid and it keeps jamming. Why? What surprised me is that I've been in the wrong job for years.
Mm.
And I've been in a job for years before this life where nobody really gave a shit about customer services. It was just all about the price. And I think I did gain some customers and keep some customers because of the service, but it wasn't, for many years, it wasn't my company. Nobody really cared. You know, my boss just wanted the sales figures, you know. But by accident, I discovered that even from my very first customer, I discovered that I had this terrible affliction that I wanted to make sure they were comfortable and happy, if you know what I mean. So what surprised me the most is actually my ability to deliver customer service, because none of my bosses, I don't think, ever knew I had it in me, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, it genuinely is. Let's listen. Is he being told off?
Whatever you make. All right.
Tell her, extra ketchup. So what I discovered, and somebody before we started recording mentioned that a few years ago I'd sent the wrong product to.
Oh, that was me. Yeah, that was me.
Okay, and I just sent him another one because I don't know why I do that actually, because I mean, do other companies? I mean, let's just have a quick discussion about this. Is this what other companies do? I don't know. I really don't know. I just
you got to jump through hoops to get somebody on the phone or to even answer an email.
Yeah.
Or understands English.
Well, somebody sounds like they're talking through their farts.
Somebody's audio is pretty bad.
It was.
So the business, and also the supplier management, my supplier management. So, for instance, I'll order. Oh, here we are. I've always got some product knocking around. It's like these aluminium plates. This is the Nebula plate. And I ordered these, and they were all black and burned all around the edges, And I've had a few like this. And what do I do about it, So as it turns out, I spent more and more money asking them to fix the machine and get just the right amount of current in the laser cutting and everything. And then I went to a plastic film on top of it, so it would protect. It went on and on and on. The price kept going up and up and up until I discovered that I can send these. So I now say to the laser company, make them as cheap as you can and don't give us stuff what they look like. And I get in the car and I drive up to a company about 30 miles from here, and he puts them in a big tumbler and it rolls it around and it comes out this beautiful, fantastic thing like this. Well, it surprised me. It's just that all these people have followed along. I mean, I honestly didn't think they would.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I really don't know why they do it. I watch my stuff. I quite enjoy the editing process. The social thing of me creating a piece of art and then publishing it and then reading the comments. And I am 750 videos down now. More.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah. So is my audio okay?
Yep, you're good.
So Callum, here's the difference in what I see you do than a lot of these other guys. You actually have a product. You don't just review other people's stuff. And I think that's the key, is everything that you do about DX Commander, not everything, most things, is about your product. And other people don't have that. And that's how I see your success.
Yeah. But you see, the funny thing is, John, that not all my videos are about my product.
Yeah, no, you don't do a lot. I mean, you do a lot of videos about your product, but you do a lot of educational stuff. And the thing about it is, Callum, when I found you, I was new to amateur radio, and you were entertaining. You brought it down to a level that I could understand, and you were thorough about it. And you were always good about answering emails if there was a question. And I think that's why I stayed with you. And then, of course, I bought one of the products, and then I was like, okay. And now I own about everything except the Nebula, I think.
And maybe the spikes.
Yeah, and the spikes.
I'll just make a note of something.
Yeah.
But that's and I think one of my favorite things on your videos is when you say, just make it so, try it out.
Give it a go.
Yeah, just try it, right? It doesn't have to be, because so often we go to the nit, everybody's got to be an engineer, and yeah.
See, the thing is in this hobby, isn't it? I can't advance any more educationally, in a certificate than I am now. But I learn things every day. So if you scale that back to a foundation or a technician license and so on, what the authorities are saying is that, okay, we'll give you this piece of paper. You can get on the air and have some fun. We know if you because you've passed the test. You're not going to kill yourself or kill someone else, and you're not going to probably interfere on the bands. There we are. You can go and learn now. That's really what this is. Even as an advanced ticket holder, you know, what do they call them? An extra class in the US. You know, I get support emails from extra class guys who genuinely don't have a blooming clue. But I think that's okay. They're just learning. All they've done is pass the ticket. You know, it doesn't mean to say they're experts. It's not like, you know, we've taken an exam to do a heart operation. You know? We've taken an exam just to prove we're not going to kill anybody. Really. Darcy also asks about the future of amateur radio and what does the success of DX Commander say about that? Where do I see the hobby going? Golly, I've got no idea on that one. I think what I've managed to demonstrate is that you don't need to spend a fortune on antennas. And I thoroughly recommend, it's like, you know, I mean, people go and buy G5 RVs. People buy all sorts of things, but, you know, and people say to me, you know, what should my first antenna be? I'd say your first antenna should be not a DX Commander. The reason I say that is I'm spoiling you. If you have that, it's actually too good, right? Make yourself a dipole for 40 or 20 and have a couple of months on one band and then move forward and maybe try a little vertical up a tree, things like that.
Your first antenna should be the first antenna you build. That's the only way you're going to get it.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd agree. And where the hobby, I think, should probably go, it's not my bag here, but if you take the youth of today, for a start off, they're not going to become licensed on average until they're in their 40s and they've had children and whatever. But assuming they do get into the hobby, they're, I think, going to be more interested in how machines talk to other machines and how wireless links work, if you know what I mean, rather than just pure DX. You know, collecting QSL cards and getting new DX entities. I think that's where it's probably going to go in 30 years' time. There'll still be CQ.
Oh, so you can't forget about complaining about too.
Yeah.
What other? Sorry, I mean, I don't know where does anybody? I mean, I think if somebody actually knew where the hobby was going, somebody would, you know, invent something for it. But we're a creative lot, aren't we? There's plenty of creative designers in ham radio, but I do think machine to machine. I mean, this whole FT8 thing is actually quite interesting. It's not my bag, but the fact that, you know, my computer is talking to your computer wirelessly over continents, that's actually just ignoring its FT8. But it's actually quite cool, really. Somewhere along the line, there's something else that's going to probably happen.
Well, the cool part about FT8 is you're doing it and you can't necessarily hear the other signal. Like if you had to listen to it over the speaker, you're not.
Yeah,
which is pretty amazing,
isn't it?
But I think Steve would agree here. Just I don't know how popular the POTA stuff is. People, the portable, you know, people getting out and actually doing it in parks. That has just been awesome here in the United States. And
it has, and I wanted to join in on that, but we don't have as many parks, and a lot of our parks are closed at night, and you know they're private, and you know.
Well, you're getting to participate in it because I've been to one of YCARS' POTA operation, and there's a DX commander at every one.
Oh yeah,
or you get
or 2 or 3
or 4.
You just need to get I think you call them caravans over there.
And there's getting to be a lot of parks on the air in Europe, so it's certainly reachable.
It will. Hopefully, it will pick up actually in the UK. That'd be nice because I made a conscious effort, and a lot of my parks were right in the middle of Birmingham and stuff. And I don't want to go into the middle of Birmingham. I want a nice, you know, out of the way somewhere where it's low noise levels and stuff.
Somebody had a suggestion talking about POTAs, and this might actually work where you're at, Callum, is like worked all breweries or distilleries.
Distilleries.
Jeez. Yeah.
Why not?
They have an annual works all Walmart parking lots event that goes on in July in the United States. So it's expanding beyond parks.
Why not?
You need to go down to the New Forest. Plenty of pubs and lots of place to mount antennas.
Lovely.
Well, I
I just say,
take a DX Commander down to Salisbury and put it in the middle of Stonehenge.
why not? Yeah. Well, you can't get there anymore. Anyway, let's.
I know.
John asked, I've got the Rapide, the Classic, the Expedition, and the Nebula, or the 18-meter signature series. What else have I got on the pipeline? So I've got the 10-meter signature and the 12.4-meter signature. Beyond there, I don't know. I'd like to probably then go back to the 18-meter Nebula and come up with a serious low-band option like 160, 80, 60, 40 only. This will be the same kit. I need to advise people how they can wind a coil and things like that. It would just be a real low-band antenna.
What a capacitance hat on the 160? Would that work?
Yes, it would. I just don't like it.
Okay.
And again, what is the gain difference? Is it wider bandwidth, or I mean, I'll look at it, but I just don't like the look of it, to be honest. But,
makes sense.
Okay, so John asks another really cool question. We're entering cycle 25. Do I anticipate more growth in the hobby, similar to what we saw with the pandemic growth, due to people having free time and needing a hobby, or as the pandemic wanes, do you expect a drop-off? I don't know, because my business was growing anyway, so I didn't, and it's grown again this year, and we're kind of out of lockdown, aren't we? So, because Wendy says, how many of these are we going to sell? Hasn't everybody got one yet? I said, well, obviously not. I don't know. I just
you
don't know.
just need to get ICOM to give one away for free with every 7,300 sold.
There was explosive growth across YouTube and new licenses. I know in the US and the UK we were doing about 1,000 a month. I think the US do 1,000 tech licenses a month.
Callum, during the pandemic, we went from 60 members to over 100.
What, is your club?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
You weren't even having meetings.
Yeah, we weren't having meetings. No, we were doing some testing and we were doing stuff online, and occasionally we'd get out and do a POTA or we do field day, but it was very limited.
Yeah, we were one of the first clubs in our region anyway, though, that did actually still continue to meet. It was just online.
Yep.
Amazing.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I know Gary's in the house from Martin Lynch. I mean, they saw explosive growth. I know during, people buying radios and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do like, I do think with the POTA thing and the whole portable thing, it's got a new dimension. Whereas before it was very much an optional thing, people are now seeing it as a part of the hobby where you go out, for fun, and you take your flask of coffee and your sandwiches, and you literally go out somewhere and have a good laugh. And I think maybe that's where I've sold a lot of the expeditions to people that just, they're going away, or in the UK they go caravanning and they take a tent and stuff. And the US, they probably drive a mansion,
There's a couple of those in the club.
Semis, a whole sort of cartel of them. But so I don't know. Again, I just think that I can't stop improving things. I mean, I think I've got Wendy on that wavelength now. So, like, we were running out of the DX10, and I said, we've got this other wire that the supplier wants. Oh, let's listen again. No. And I said, oh, it's quite a nice wire, but it's not quite as flexible. And she's going, well, it doesn't matter, does it? I said, no, it does. Everything matters. To the last, how it's packed. Still could get the price down, you see, but anyway, maybe I should put the prices up. Maybe I should supply gold-lined boxes. I've got no idea. John also asked on my primary method of antenna modelling. It is still MMANA-GAL. I have looked at for NEC and a few of the other ones. Well, I think I could probably move if I had to now, because I'm quite good at typing numbers in the sort of what looks like a spreadsheet, because I can actually think in 3D. I think, well, that wire goes from there to there, and that one goes from there to there, you know. Mm-hmm. But in the main, the only thing in the main I'm really interested in is the far field plot, because I don't really give a shit about the impedance. I know that my ground-mounted vertical is good enough for a 50 ohm coax. So at the moment, I don't really mind. As long as I just know I go out in the field, I've got to sort of chop it until I get the right tune. So it's not as if I'm paranoid about impedance and reactance and things like that, where you were making some weird-looking antenna and you wanted to know, well, I mean, how are we going to match it? So, and I know MMANA's far field plot is as accurate as the rest of them, because it's, it's all just maths. So I'm kind of happy with it for the time being, to be honest. How much time do you devote to research and development versus running the business? Yeah, not enough, to be honest. I mean, it's taken we started in January, really, the factory move. I mean, it just hasn't stopped, to be honest. And just getting tomorrow I'll actually connect the coax to a production piece of equipment, in the field. It's all on the accounts as R&D, the whole field thing. I developed the Rapide. That was 9 days. When we got the new 10-meter signature, the 12.4 meter signature, it's got to be done. And I have to prove things. I have to demonstrate, not only to me, but to other people. So that's why we have the videos. So like I might look at a piece of wire, or I might, look at a new technique for doing the aluminium, and I think, well, I want to build it myself, to see what it's like. But for instance, this week I should be done by now, but I'm not, because one of the days, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I hadn't left my desk because of, queries. But Mondays is worse for me because I don't do emails Saturdays and Sundays. So I've always got an influx of emails. I had one guy said, the money's left my bank, but I haven't had an order acknowledgement. Well, we don't have his money either, so I don't know where it's gone. But yeah, Wendy does, I suppose, 3 days a week, about 4 hours a time. Yeah, she'll do like 10 till... Well, it's just about 10 till 3 days a week. It keeps all the records, all the books. So, because I'll buy something for like thrums, pennies. But of course, typical accountant, Wendy wants to know where the invoice is, for the books. So I've got to spend time chasing that up. And she just keeps all the books, And then she builds the packs with all the nuts and bolts and washers and fork connectors and everything, makes the little bags, gives them to Lockie. And then Lockie does all the shipping and does all the FedEx. Well, we've just moved to DHL Express, so we'll see. Hopefully for better service. We'll find out. I mean, there's not much saving. I think I'm saving a couple of dollars a shipment to the US, but
I was very impressed getting mine in 2 days. From UK to South Carolina in 2 days.
Yeah,
I was astounded.
Yeah. So what we do is I paid a bit extra for Express. In fact, not super mad Express, not by 9 o'clock tomorrow, but for the US, you see, we've got another 4 to 8 hours of the sun. So we haven't got 24 hours. We've got like 30 hours for your next day. So it leaves us about 3. and it ends up, I know, down at somewhere called Stansted Airport, because a plane takes off, I think it's 7, goes to Memphis, I seem to remember.
Yep.
I don't know why. And then from there, it's flown to presumably different parts of the US, ends up on a truck. But I paid, it's priority, that's what it's called. I pay the extra because my feeling is the less time it's with the carrier, the better. You know?
Yeah, less damage.
If it's just with all the others. I've had it before I start. I mean, I moved to priority shipping about 6 months ago. And before then, you'd get a lost parcel, and it takes weeks for them to solve it. I mean, to be honest, what I just do is I say to the customer, look, I'm just shipping you another one anyway, and if it turns up, let me know. And then what they've done for me in the past is they've shipped the one that's arrived late, assuming the box is in good condition, they ship it to the next guy. That's what we've been doing.
Huh.
Let's have a glass of milk, shall we?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people we got on YouTube.
YouTube, I think it was 160 some.
Okay,
yep.
156.
And we've got about 50 in here.
Okay, fine. Oh, hello YouTube, by the way. I'm not ignoring, I'm not doing a live chat. I know somebody told you all to shut up a minute ago for some reason. You're all bickering about something. But whatever, as long as you're having a good time, I will go through the comments at the end, so don't worry. Hang on. Vicky. So did Vicky turn up?
Yep, she's here somewhere.
Okay. Hello, Vicky.
Vicky, you can unmute.
Yes, sir. I'm here. This is Vicky, South Carolina. Hey, young man.
Wow. Did you hear me being called sir?
Yes,
That's
sir.
amazing. Okay, let me just read this slowly, Vicky. The 40-meter element threads through the eyelet and comes back down the mast. Must it be secured? Does it matter if I strap it to the mast as well as the actual vertical portion of itself? What if it simply hangs freely? So, yes, strap it back down. If it hung freely, what would happen as the wind blew it? It would effectively become longer, right? Because it's going up and coming back down. We're loading it. It's called linear loading, but actually it's a capacitive loading, I think. I can't remember. So, but do put some tape around there and hold it together. Now, in about probably next Friday, I'll have quite a big, it's like the user guide on a video, all right? And I'm releasing that. I've filmed it all, and I've just before tonight, I've just been reviewing all the footage and just starting to sort it out. So I'll edit that probably tomorrow night over the weekend. And I'm actually going to do a voiceover to that one because it was so...
Whoa.
That was me, by the look of it.
Okay.
Shame on you.
Bad boy. I have no idea what it was.
So Callum, can I not? I just take it and stuff it right back into the bowl.
So put a bat on there.
I once said that to a girl.
Poor choice of words.
On the expedition pole, I think, I'm not quite sure if you can actually shove it back down the hole, but
you can't in the expedition. No.
I think the wire's too fat, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I've got a video coming out on that one, so let me just watch if that happens again. No idea why that happened. I got another click then. Quite a heavy click. It was an electrical click. With a 40-meter element, 20-meter and 17, do I need a tuner to operate other bands? Harmonics, please explain. So the harmonics, similar to a dipole. And by the way, somebody came on my channel the other day and said I've got it all wrong, but I promise you I haven't. I've done this. And it's in the books as well. So if we just head down to my little area here. So if you have an antenna resonant on 7.2 megahertz, then the next time it will be resonant, and that's either a dipole or a vertical, is going to be 3 of those, right? So it will be 3 7s 21.6. Now, That's the only harmonic we need to be worried about, and we need to use it for our advantage. And the reason why I don't get a pole made any bigger than 9.4 meters, whatever it is that when we go up and come back down, that we get a tune around here, 7.2. But what happens, because your vertical, so this is a 40 meter element. Okay, so that's about 9.5 meters long, if you can see that. And we come back down. This 21.6 comes down. You can get this as low as 21.1. And you can shave this, and this will change this frequency 3 times, well, much more than this one actually. The bandwidth on 40 meters, I know 5 or 6 of you in the club have got these, is pretty enormous. But it means you can get the dip on 15 meters to go up. So that's the only harmonic, apart from 80 meters, right? 80 meters, if you had an 80 meters, like an inverted L, 80, or the Nebula does the same thing, or the 80 meter signature, whatever we're going to call it in the future. So 3 times 3 times 3.8, for instance. What we end up is at 3816 is about 11 megahertz, give or take. So that's not in our band. The next time it's resonant, I seem to remember, was near the 17 meter band, just a bit above it actually. And then it's resonant again at about 30 megahertz somewhere. That's the only other one. And the trouble is, the lower in frequency you go, like let's say we wanted a 160 meter antenna, we'll get quite a lot of harmonics. Are they good, bad, or indifferent, these harmonics, by the way? So a 3/4 wave, and I think I've done this on YouTube, but a 3/4 wave antenna on EHAM, and where these people read books and don't do anything apart from argue with each other, you'll get, it's a cloud warmer. And on the surface, when you look at a 3/4 wave vertical, which is effectively what this is for 15 meter band, right? So this is a 15 meter band antenna now, and effectively, I mean, I'm not very good at drawing really, but let's just, I don't know, you get a pair of these. Here's your vertical, and you measure this at 5 degrees off the horizon here, and measure at that point. It's actually 3 dB better than a quarter wave. Unless you've got a fantastic ground, we discovered. A fantastic ground, your quarter wave will beat a 3/4 wave. But to be honest, there's not a lot in it. I think that does harmonics, really. Do I need a tuner to operate other bands? Ah, right. 40, 17. Vicky, have you got an Expedition? Or the Classic, I wonder?
I have the Classic.
Okay. I mean, personally, I would do 4 elements, because you can, the way the whole spacing's done, I've done it so you can do 4 equally distance, and you could then have your 40 and 15, 20, 17, and you can put 10 up to the second plate. And that's lovely. Your tuner will do 12. All right. What else will you get? I happen to 17. Know you'll get 30 on that as well. She's already got 17. You've nearly got it all anyway. Radials. Vicky made bundles of 3 at 3 meters length, bundles at 4 and 3.5. What would be the minimum total length of radials required per band? Okay, so when we look at, let's say, DX Commander, just take 40 meters. Let's just pretend we'll take 2 wavelengths of 40 meters, which is 80 meters of wire. 3 8 24, about 250 feet, roughly. If you just remember, 2 40s at 80. 2 wavelengths of 40 meters is 80 meters. Right. On the 20, and we just put them down, any old however they fit. Now, when we look at the 20 meter band, now we've got 4 wavelengths. Because the higher up you go, the more radials you've got, effectively. So by plumbing a ton of radials in for 40 metres, just means you've now got twice as many for the 20 metre band. So when I go on holiday, I generally use, I think I've got a mark on the desk and I cut it. I think it was 3.1 or 3.2 metres long, but it's roughly the sort of length. And I put them in 4s, as it so happens. And it's easy to coil up, easy to put in my bag, and just works for me. And I do 30, roughly 30 radials, 3 trees, 30 radials. Yeah, so I've got 90 metres, and that does fine.
Yeah, Callum, what I tell everybody in the club when they're building their kits is I said, put down 2x the wavelength of the lowest band you're going to operate. So it's 40, you want 80 meters of light down.
Yeah, that's it. Which is why we supply another roll of wire if somebody wants to go an 80.
Yep.
Roughly get the numbers straight. If I'm near a small body of water, is there an ideal placement of radials or a specific area not to place them? No, doesn't matter. Maybe it does. But for a hobby, it doesn't matter, right? There might be 1 dB difference somewhere, but I'd have to look at everyone in case. So when I went down to Cornwall, be 3 years ago, and halfway through the holiday, I thought, I could get on 80, but I'd already installed the antenna in the wrong place, right next to a fence. So what I did is, that's the fence there. I just put my radials here. Again, 30 at about 3 meters long, and there was nothing. And I was crossing the Atlantic on 80 meters with that, which was the radials were going that way, and the US was that way. So, go figure. Challenges for an apartment or condo dwelling with concrete flooring or asphalt surfaces. Challenges. I'd say go and see the bank manager and get a different mortgage and move. I think it's frequency dependent. Well, you could do these mag loops, can't you? Yeah. Mike-M0MSN, he's done quite a lot on mag loops. You can buy these things as well, can't you? But the other advantage, of course, being very high up, some countries in Europe, you have got some sort of inalienable right to put an antenna on the roof if they've got a license. That's why, I think it might even be Spain, I can't remember. You'll get, like a 12-story apartment block and then a 60-foot tower on the top of it. I mean, how on earth they've done this? Well, you certainly see, like you drive around Spain, which I've done that in the past, there's a lot of tri-banders sitting up there, quite high up on top of roofs. So, whatever. I did a video about apartments, and I haven't lived in an apartment for a long time. Certainly not done. I did amateur radio from an apartment. I've just remembered, and it was CB at the time, and I put a cubicle quad on the chimney stack. Yeah, I must have been absolutely daft, because if I'd fallen off, I'd have died. That would have done the whole world a favour, I'm sure, but there we go.
With apartment buildings, a screwdriver attached to the railing on the...
of course.
Yeah, on a railing on a balcony works real well, too. Yeah. I had a friend of mine did that down in Charleston and had really good luck with it.
I'm done with the formal questions. We got some fun stuff now. The funniest moment you can remember in your ham radio career? There's three quite funny things I just spring to mind. The first one is, when, particularly in the UK, we get very loud Russians and very loud Germans, and we're like in a triangle. Okay, so on a contest weekend, you might all weekend there's some German guy on 7.198, let's say. And of course he thinks it's his frequency, doesn't he? What he doesn't realise is that Slavko or whatever, Alec in Moscow, has also been on the same frequency. And I remember hearing both them starting to hear each other, but they were both on that frequency for hours, but couldn't hear each other because the skip was wrong. Maybe it was on 20, I don't know. And then the biggest argument on the planet took place as they screamed at each other, telling that the frequency was in use. I mean, it was kind of tragic, really, because they're under pressure. They're probably working in a multi environment. And, team managers going, what are you doing? Why have your numbers dropped, It was kind of funny. I wish I'd recorded it, really. But it's happened to me as well. I normally just bail out. I go, it's more to life than this.
Well, if it's 71.98, then usually that's pretty much any night of the week, it's an Italian.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's always an Italian.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then you got 7,200 Brett, which we won't talk about.
Well, that's during
Those
the
idiots.
day. That's during the day, and you don't have to worry about Europeans up at 7,200 because then they're out of band. But almost every night, it was IK2 RVN is sitting on 71.98.
Is he now?
97, and he's about 45 over 9.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember doing field day once, and if you've been up all night and you've had a few beers the night before, and you've got some coffee, and then a couple of guys wake up, and you're just all in good spirits. And I remember showing them the voice kit I'd built for N1MM. So like F4 went QRZ, and F5 went thanks, and F6 went again, or whatever it was, And what we could do is they would call in. So I'll pick our call sign if I can see one. Alpha Echo 4 Victor Japan. It would Brad would call in, and then I'd just type the call sign in, hit a button, it would go Alpha Echo 4 Victor Japan. Hello. So I started hitting all these buttons. You are 5 at 9. Roger. QSL. Now, I'd been doing this for hours, but for some reason, when these people came to visit and see what we were doing, the irony of it being an SSB contest, and I'm just pressing buttons. You are 5 and 9, and your number is 278. Again, 278. It was very good. And there was one other. Oh, yes. In fact, it was the same weekend. The Germs, too. It's the same Region 2 field day. I think we are. Or we Region 1. I can't remember. But anyway. We're normally in quite big competition with the Germans, right? And I said to the guys, and I knew who it was. It was a fellow called Mark, another guy called Rob. I think Kevin was there as well. And I said to them, I wonder if they're actually listening. So because all as they want is my number, isn't it, on a field day? They want to know he's 278 or he's 5 and 9. So they would call in Delta Lima 1, Alpha Bravo Charlie, and Delta Lima 1, Bravo Alpha Charlie, whatever it is. And I started to throw in strange expressions, often either from a military or a sort of aero background. So I'm saying, this is Golf 4 Whiskey Alpha Charlie Heavy. Right. And then I would just drop in, you're 278, clear to land runway 2. But of course, they couldn't speak my language half the time. They didn't know what I was saying. They would just say,
I am doing that the next time.
So my number 287, Roger. Roger 287, runway 2, thank you. And that's the other thing. So, I would say, heading 287, that's right, or whatever. It was one of those funny 10 minutes when I actually had to stop operating. I was laughing so much. So there we are.
Darcy at Oconee.
Oh, yeah, it was very good. That's one of the best times. The other time was when Echolink first came out, and our local repeater here, the guys who ran that local repeater were really, really keen on all sorts of things. And it was actually a great repeater, and it was very well utilised, and you could never get on it. And there was regulars and stuff. And I remember I got home, and I keyed up, but I had Echolink running on my PC at the same time. So if I went 1 on the real microphone, split second later, it's coming over Echolink, but a little bit quieter. And I realised that I had this amazing sort of CB style echo going on my actual transmit, because it was coming back, right? It wasn't feedback. But I just got a fit of the giggles. And as you probably noticed when, like I do some of my videos, when I find something funny, I just find it funny. I can't stop myself. So gradually, there's all these people piling in on the repeater, and everybody's laughing. That was quite good. Quite good. What was the Misterons? You know, I got echo and reverb and stuff on this mixer, but I'm not going to do it now because I'm not in the mood for it. But it was very funny anyway. Have I ever been involved in an emergency situation? There was a sad guy, actually. He was called Chris. So I don't know if you remember, about 18 months ago, I started the Lockdown Net. I used to live stream it, particularly on a Friday morning. And some of the guys in the US would watch it, 12 hours later, when they got home for dinner. But we used to get called, and funny enough, it was a guy with a magnetic loop from a little town called Portishead. His name was Chris. His call sign, I think, was a G3, which indicated he was very old. And I could never blooming hear him, but I got his call sign. But one day, and of course, COVID was rampant at the time. And one day I realised that actually not all was well. And I said, well, have you got any food in? He said, I've got like a tin of beans left or something. I mean, there was no milk. He'd run out of literally everything. His brother was in hospital, I presumably dying, about 30 miles away. Normally it's his brother that, would help him out. And he had nobody. But there's a few people actually listening to the stream at the same time. And to cut a long story short, from that, we've got an organisation in the UK called Raynet, who don't normally do things like this, but some guy up in Yorkshire as well got involved. I've got all the audio, actually, because I've phoned everybody, and I was going to do a video about this, but to cut a long story short, somebody from the local authority actually went round to his house with a food hamper and put him on a sort of an endangered list, and to look after. I've never heard of him since, so I don't know if he caught COVID and passed away. I don't know. And I kind of don't want to know, if you know what I mean. It was all quite tragic. When you're on the radio and you think, I'm live streaming this and there's lots of people listening, and it's dawning on me, the guy's got nothing and he's going to starve to death, in England. So kind of amateur radio might have saved his life. I don't know. But he was certainly in a fairly weakened state. But what advice would you give to someone who might actually accidentally end up running a pile-up? Well, it's true, it can happen. I don't know if... I hear it quite a lot. I hear... I can imagine a club night and somebody saying, John and Fred... Are you free Saturday morning? We got this little special event thing, lighthouses on the air, whatever it is. And they go down and they put up the gear, and there's a few people there. They're allocated to do the operating, and it's on 40 metres. And we've all done it. You've tuned in, you think, oh my God, this guy hasn't thought through what is about to happen, because he's getting more than one person calling him at a time. And he doesn't really know what to do. And... so the best advice I can give for someone like that is to focus on one call sign at a time, obviously, pull them out, and stop all this baloney about I'm running a special event station and all the information is on QRZ. And they normally say that after they've told you that the building was built in 1872 to commemorate, Isaac Newton's apple, whatever, and they go on and on and on. Then they go to tell you that, in fact, all this information is on QRZ as well. So I don't know, do you guys in the US have special event stations?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one-off call, for the day.
Yeah, for everything under the sun. Yep.
I was part of one for a ham. He was turning 103 years old, and we did a special event station for him. So that was
tremendous.
Fun. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we run the Steve and I and John will go out and a couple others from the club, and we try to burn a park down. We try for 1,000 contacts in a weekend.
Hey, Darcy, you're breaking up again.
Lovely. Don't worry.
Oh, jeez.
So let me just tell you this. Okay. People, when they call into a special event station, they want to give their call sign, don't they? They don't really give a shit what you say back. They just want to now give you an over. Hello, my name's Callum. I'm in Birmingham, and they'll generally copy you, right? So if you give them a 10-minute over, they'll give you one back, right? Which is no good because there's a load of other people who want to talk. So I'm running a special event station, and I get a Golf 4 Alpha Bravo Charlie calling. G4 ABC. Nice to speak to you. Name here's Callum. Yeah, obviously a special event this morning. Can't hold it. There's a lot of people hanging around. But back to you for your, say hello. Oh, thanks, Callum. Yeah, my name's John. Have a good day. Enjoy the pile up. Whatever. Bye for now. Yep. See you, John. All the best now. And then I'll give him the opportunity either of saying goodbye or getting back onto the pile up. So I might say, all right, cheers, and back to you for a cheerio then, John, or not. So my advice is, if you speak for a long time, they'll speak for a long time. So keep it short. What's the best antenna you ever used before DX Commander happened? A big loop, a huge loop, 160-metre loop at about 60 feet up. And it was actually wonderful because it turns out it's a big triangle. I had a 4-to-1 balun here with some coax. It was quite high. And top band, it was fine. 80 metres, it was pretty cool. 40 metres had a little bit of gain going that way. And then from 20 metres up, some of you might have seen this, but there's gain coming off all over the place. With even a bigger lobe going out. It's not quite as advanced as this. On 10 metres and 15 metres, it was like this.
It's like a chicken.
Yeah. Oh, God, so it is.
Bark, bark.
Quick, turn it into a shark or something. And, on the higher bands, you get all these lobes. It was just absolutely fantastic. Because a lot of people say that, do you remember, particularly on QRZ and EHAM forums again, people will tell you that, your best antenna is, a doublet with a big balanced line and everything. I think big balanced lines are great for like a monobander because you can't change bands. It takes forever. I'll just see if Fred's on 40 metres. Oh, got to 40 metres. Oh, I'll check my chart. Dial that one, wind this handle. Check. Oh, no, antenna's wet this morning. It's got to come down a bit. By the time you've tuned it for 40, you're ready. Your mind's going, well, what happens on 20 today, I wonder? You think, I can't be bothered checking 20 because I've got to press all the buttons again. So that's why, by the way, I just like coax. If it's a tuned antenna, coax works fine. But that was the best antenna I had, yeah. I used to be in scouting. What advice would I give someone thinking of putting on a JOTA station? Don't do it. We put on this station. We ran high power, and we start with Tim M0URX. He was sort of getting a bit of a pile up going, bit of a DX pile up actually, and we had a special event call sign, and it was Jamboree on the air, and we lined up. So there was different age groups. What we have, the Beavers, right, which are up to 8, 9 years old, 7.5, 8. Then we have Cubs, which is 8 to 10.5, I think. It's a long time now. And then we have Scouts beyond that, you see. So anyway, we had these Beavers, so that you're looking at 5, 6, 7-year-olds, So part of the thing is that they sat down with Wendy and Emily, because we had rolled everybody in, and they would write or get someone to write a little pitch for them. Like, my name's Johnny. I've got a pet rabbit called Floppy, and I support Manchester United. That's his greeting message. Anyway, Tim's on running this high power, lovely antenna. I think we're on, I don't know what way, it must have been on 20 metres, because we had the father-in-law to the bride of the prince of the king of Brunei or something. And the old boy, the father-in-law, he'd been gifted this sort of small mansion in the palace grounds, like a 120-foot tower, and massive opti-beam or something. And we could hear him clear as crystal. We didn't realise he couldn't speak English, right? But he could say yes. So Tim managed to get over to him that, we're going to line up all these kids, and would he be, the victim? And he just said yes. And we'd roll the next kid in, and we were doing about one greeting message every 24 seconds. My name's Johnny. I've got a pet rabbit called Floppy, and I support Manchester United. And then Tim would go, over. And then the man would go, oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's all he said. So, but
where's this story going?
That's not me, by the way. That's somebody's mic.
Yeah.
Right.
Trying to find it.
So we did Morse code bracelets. That's quite good fun. Little, bits of leather and stuff, and they put on beads, for dots and dashes, different coloured beads, their names. We came up with all sorts of ideas. QSL designing, right?
Yep.
And design a QSL card. I think the winner, we were going to actually do the M0XXT card as their winning QSL card. So I announced the winner, but we never had them printed. How much have you broken over the years? Destruction tests. I've broken and melted a lot of stuff. My famous one, that's on Instagram, is a 4-to-1 balun that was rated from 80 metres to 10, something like that. But Terry didn't know this, and he ran one of the big contests, high power, with the Acom 2000. I get a phone call to say the big loop has passed away. And when we cut it open, you had no idea of there must have been a fire going on inside it. This balun had completely oversaturated and basically melted. So that was good. I've snapped quite a lot of fiberglass masks actually, and a trick to doing that is putting too much weight on the end and just keep lifting it up, and eventually it goes. As I said, because occasionally, a customer breaks a pole doing something weird and wonderful normally, but I do say to them, hey, bridges fall down sometimes in storms. It's not. Crikey, what was that? Apartment block in Florida fell down. Well,
Yeah,
that was underground something, wasn't it? So yeah, it is. It's only, well, that's the other thing. It only takes a second for all this stuff to break. Looking back, we've put up some, metal structures, towers, crank up towers, and I'd no idea of risk back then. We all had to wear hard hats, I remember, but wouldn't help if a 100-foot tower landed on your head, I'm sure. Broken a lot of stuff. I made a really cool, last one this is. So what you can do, find a bit of paper. So I did a 3-section scaffold pole tower. So these are all 21 feet long in our country. That's 6 meters. So that's 60 feet at the top. And what we did, I put another pole here, and we connected all these, with guy wires. But looking down from the top, of course, you've got 4 guy wires coming out. So what happens is, when you release this from the ground, the whole thing, you can drop it to the ground, you see. But what you do is, and this thing, which is called a falling derrick, that is now high in the air because you've just tilted it over, So I said to Terry, well, that was pretty easy actually, putting 3 in a row. Let's put 4 up, be 80 feet. And now I had visions of going to 100 with this thing, right? But for a start off, it got harder and harder to pull up by hand. So we put it on my tow bar, on the back of the car, and we'd just drive it very slowly. To start with, it starts to come up really quickly, and then you have to go crawl to almost a stop. And then at the last 10 feet, it just goes dung, and just holds it there. Anyway, we put the 4th one on. I'd bought all this rope and everything. But I said, okay, that was a good test. We've done 80 feet. So we'll try it with some antennas one day. He went, yeah, all right then. And he just, I said, well, drop it back down. And he picked up this bit here. He picked up the falling derrick bit with his hand. Just moved it a couple of inches. He went, all right, we'll put it back down then, as if to start it on its way. But we had released the tension, and it started to shake with all the downward tension as well, but not enough tension on this one. I don't know. I thought about it for weeks afterwards, actually, but the whole thing just started to bend and squash and fly around and everything and come down. So we broke that. That has just been bloody silly, really. If I did it again, because I think this is actually perfectly safe if you know what you're doing, I'd make this one out of steel and have that one as aluminium and aluminium. Oh, that's the other thing. This one here, eventually, once you've disconnected everything, you've got a 6 meter, 21-foot mast sticking up in the air, and you forget about it. You're walking around, disconnecting lines and stuff, and this thing just went boom, landed on the ground, just as well it went that way, not my way. So it doesn't take very long for things to go wrong, does it? It doesn't take very long for things to go wrong. Oh, I'm sure there's a phrase in that. And there we are, and that's the end of the story. And they lived happily ever after.
Well, Callum, I can't thank you enough for doing this for us. I know it's late there in the UK, and you've been on for a little, well, almost 2 hours, 2 hours now with us, or a little bit longer than that. So we don't want to hold you too much longer, but man, it sure was fun, and we can't thank you enough. And thank you for the support for the club with your generous donations for the Ham Fest. We really had a good showing this year, and that 12-meter pole was amazing. So fantastic work and great presentation.
Oh, great. Well, what I'm going to do is I'll leave this presentation and I'll just wrap up with my YouTube people, if that's all right.
Absolutely. And again, thank you so much. We owe you a debt of gratitude, and I'm going to build you a switch box, brother.
That's fantastic.
Hey, Callum, real quick. You going to do another Christmas video?
Well, I just said to Emily last night we're going to do a quiz.
The answer is Nebula.
Don't forget to wipe the gravy off your sweater.
Yeah, I will do, yeah. Okay, I'm going to leave this, and then I'm going to come on to use the other camera for YouTube. So I'll see you boys. Adios. Thanks, John. All the best, mate.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye, Tom.
All right. Oh, man. Was that fun or what, fellas?
Wasn't sure where it was going. It used beaver and something else in the same story. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, the Scouts and Beavers. That was not a
Scouts and Beavers. I mean, if we just had priests and altar boys.
Oh, man. No.
Thank you, John.
Well, I appreciate everybody showing up tonight. This is the last presentation for the year, so y'all have about another 2.5 months to figure out what you want to do next year, because I expect a lot of you folks to do presentations, and we'll keep punting guests so we can have folks like Callum and Tim and Bob back, and maybe we'll find some new folks that'll help join us and have some fun. So hopefully you found this entertaining, and look forward to seeing you guys at the business meeting and the open houses.